let's get started. It's time for the pre-trip webinar for Southeast Asia Sojourn. Let me start out by outlining the agenda. Most of what we're going to talk about today is already in your trip-specific reference guide. So you will have gotten recently a kit of documents from our team that set out the daily itinerary with more specifics of the timing, as well as a lot of the preparatory information that you would need. And we're going to cover some of that today. We'll add on a few things, my own anecdotes, as well as Joseph's about what you need to prepare for the trip. But I do highly recommend that you read that document thoroughly, because again, there's a lot of information in there that is very handy and useful for fully enjoying this trip. So without further ado, let's get going. As I say, first of all, I'm going to introduce formally Joseph, who's going to be looking after you for your little over 3 weeks in Asia. Joseph and I are going to talk about what you need to prepare for the trip, and then what's going to happen on your arrival into Bangkok. And then I'm going to touch on a few highlights of the itinerary, but I'm not going to go into the whole thing in detail. By now, you will have reviewed all that, so you have a sense of what's coming. But I'll mention a few things along the way that just sort of good to know in advance of the trip. And then finally, I'll address any questions. So this is a great time to ask any questions that would be relevant, not only for yourself, but potentially for other group members. So please do type your questions either in the chat box, which you will see. If you don't see it at the top or the bottom of your screen in the menu bar, you might have to move your mouse up and down, and then it should appear. There is also a menu item called Q&A. Doesn't matter to us, it all comes to the same place, but please do put any questions in there, because obviously everybody's on mute. It's just much easier to manage the agenda this way. So first of all, your host, Joseph, who is, Joseph, you started barely a year, not even a year ago, and yet you've hosted so many trips for us already. Um,
Yes.
and to rave reviews, I might say, from your fellow members. So Joseph, why don't you say a few words about yourself? You've been at this game for a long, long time before joining us.
Yeah, hey, I'm an avid traveler. I was in the hospitality industry for years and decided I needed a change. And so I've been hosting trips since 2018. I think this will be somewhere around my 30th trip. And yeah, I love doing what I do and meeting new people. So I'm very excited for this sojourn with all of you.
Yeah. And what I think make Joseph stand apart in terms of what we've heard from other guests is he's really wants to make sure that you have a great time, and goes the extra mile to sort of take you here and take you there, and things that go beyond the outline of the program. Because of course we have been provided for a fair bit of free time, and that's really important because that's when some of the most important discoveries happen. Is when you're not. I mean, we have a great curated program for you. I've been to pretty much all of these places myself, and had most of the experiences that are outlined, and they truly are amazing. But it's the surprises, it's the fun stuff
Mhm.
that you don't see in when you're sort of all lined up as a group. And it's not a big group. It's the perfect size group for traveling around Asia, so you're gonna have a great time. If you've not traveled with us before, just to qualify, or if you've not traveled on this kind of a trip before, on an organized trip, the role of the host, the role of Joseph, is first and foremost to make sure that everything goes according to plan. We put a ton of effort into curating all the details, every meal, every site that you're going to see, every admission, all the transportation. It's all very thoroughly looked after, but it's travel and things can happen. And so Joseph is there to make sure that, if we think that something's going to happen, that's going to go sideways, that he can fix it before you all even know about it. So that's his role first and foremost. And secondly, it's to make sure that you had a good time, to make sure that you get what
Mhm.
you came for in your experience of Asia. Um, The one thing that our hosts are not is local guides. So if you go to Joseph and say, "Oh, that temple Angkor Wat, how old is that thing?" He's gonna say, "I don't know." Well, he might know, but or maybe you do know, Joseph. But we
Well,
have
I
fab.
love AI for that. Gemini is my new best friend.
Yeah, exactly. That's the tour guide of the future, right? AI. It's called ChatGPT tour guide, written right on them. Um, no, but we have terrific local guides in all these spots, and they're the ones that will, let you know about yeah, all of the, the historical details, the cultural details, and the day-to-day life. And they most of all love to answer questions. And so I always say ask questions because this is how you really find out about what life is like on the other side of the world. And because this is for some of you, for all of you, it's going to be to some degree or another a bit of culture shock in experiencing, these particularly the cities, Bangkok, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, and so on are compared to home like organized chaos, maybe more chaos than organized, but this is such an interesting dynamic. Anyway, I won't go on further about that. But so let's dive right now into the details of what you need to know for the trip. So, passport and documents. So you're all in the midst of this process somewhere about the documents, and visas and all the rest of this kind of stuff. And I know it may seem like a bit of a pain in the neck, but you will get through this. And for those that struggled, we you can reach out to Melody, and she can give you some advice on how we can perhaps assist. But for the most part, Joseph, you just completed all your visas, and you found it relatively straightforward. Yeah,
Well, yeah, no problem at all, really. It was,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I've received all of them. So,
Yeah, exactly. So there's just a couple things I want to mention. First of all, the only one where it is essential that you have your visa in advance is Vietnam. In Laos, you can do a visa on arrival. So you just go through a extra little process, fill in a form, pay the fee. It's the same fee, or it's actually there's a modest difference in price if you do it on arrival versus doing it in advance. It's Cambodia, same thing. So if you don't get it in advance, no big deal. Get it when you arrive. It's not that big of a deal. It takes 10 minutes extra. We'll wait for you. So don't fret. Vietnam is essential that you do the e-visa in advance. That one you can't do on site. So delve into it. I know it's forms and questions, and they're all a bit different, and sometimes the sites are a bit glitchy, but you will get it. And then once you have it, once you receive your actual visa, please take the time and go back and double check that the information is correct. Double check your name, double check your passport number, your birth date, and the arrival date and the port of entry, and whatever other information is on there, just to make sure it all lines up. They are a little sticky in Vietnam about having the visa correct. There will be a representative, our representative on the ground there that's there in case anything should arise to assist you. But and I won't even tell you my story when I first went to Vietnam in 1994, so 30 years ago. Um, I won't tell you. I didn't have a visa when I showed up there. Let's say it wasn't the best first 24 hours in Vietnam. So my advice is have all your documents in order. Uh, and the other thing that is essential for Thailand, there's no visa required, but they just introduced this new digital arrival card. Um, this was literally just introduced last May. I also, because I'm in Thailand now, just did it also for the first time. It's pretty straightforward, but when you check in for your flight and they see that you're flying to Bangkok, they will ask for it before you check in. So it's not something you can put off. Um, However, the thing that always makes daunts people a little bit is the fact that you can only do it 3 days before arrival. So you got to wait till uh, no October the 28th or 29th in that case before you can actually apply for it. But you get it instantaneously or within, I think I got mine about a minute later. Joseph, did you get yours already for Thailand?
Thailand, no, not yet. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Thailand I got very quickly.
No, you
So
can't.
Laos
You
I got
can't. What
very
am I saying?
quickly.
You can't get it because you can
Yeah.
only do it 3 days
No, I
ahead of
didn't
time.
get
What am I?
that.
What
I
am I
got
saying?
visas for
You,
Laos
you
and
you can't. You can
Cambodia.
only do it 3 days ahead of time.
Yeah.
So, but the
Yeah.
point is that it's quick. It comes, as I say. I think mine came in like literally a minute. Just right after I press submit. So, no, don't panic. And yeah, that's what you need to know. And check all of the other guidelines for the passports that we've given you. You've probably done that already. The fact that it should be valid for 6 months past the return date from the trip, that you should have two blank pages into it because they will be, filling it with visas. So don't sweat if, you arrive in Thailand, they're going to stamp it, and then you cross over into Laos and they're going to stamp it again. If you don't have two blank pages anymore, that's fine. But if you start with two blank pages, you're good to go. They're not strict. So it's not like you need four so that by the time you get to Cambodia in the end you have two left. That's not you're okay. If you have two blank pages, you're good to go. So that's just a little bit of advice from me on how all that works. I do strongly recommend that you take a photo with your phone of your passport information page. That way, once you've arrived in your next country and checked into the hotel, you can just tuck it right into the safe deposit box in your room, and you don't have to fuss with it again. You don't have to take it with you. Um, Not that it's anything's going to happen to it, but yeah, pickpockets do exist in this part of the world as they do anywhere, and and all that kind of stuff. But you just don't need it. To the extent that you would need it for something, then, for example, if you're going to get a SIM card in Thailand, you need to present a passport. Then you can show your a picture on your phone. But if you did that at the airport, you'd have your passport with you anyway. It's just a good idea to have an extra copy. That goes with also anything else that's important, is make sure you have an extra copy. For me, an extra copy means I take a picture with my phone because my phone is never more than, arm's length away from me. And that way, documents, prescriptions for medications, all that kind of stuff. You've got an extra a copy available. I photograph all my credit cards. Anything that's important is I have a photo of it in my phone and or like a printed copy, a photocopy. Uh, just having a backup, if ever anything should go awry, I tell you, it will. You'll feel much much more comfortable about it. So packing, I'm gonna Joe let you talk a little bit about what to pack for this trip.
Yeah, so like any trip, packing smart is definitely key. Especially with us on this trip, we have numerous hotels and flights within the trip. The weather, luckily, this time of year is cooler and a lot drier. We're going to have some great temperatures, in the 20s to low 30s, high 20s to low 30s. We are going to get some light showers, which could be downpours. So a waterproof jacket is a good idea, or an umbrella. We're in Thailand, so umbrellas are made a dime a dozen, and they might only last one downpour, but they're cheap and easy to get. For clothing, loose, breathable fabrics, of course. I love linen myself. It's the best for me. Cotton is great, and the quick dry athletic shirts are easy to rinse out and dry quickly. For shoeing, for shoes and things, you just want to be very comfortable with walking shoes. And as in Thailand where we go, there's lots of temples and restaurants where shoes have to be removed or should be removed going in. So slip on, slip off shoes. Sandals are a really good idea with the Velcro straps, so they're easy to get on and take off. With respects to like the
Exactly.
cultural, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
Gordon,
was
you're
going
in
to say about
Thailand.
that.
So,
I was going to say about that. Just interject for a second. Like I like the Tivas because certainly shoes like ordinary running shoes or whatever are fine, but not just in Thailand. In a lot of the countries, it is a requirement, certainly in temples, to remove your footwear. So it's
mhm.
like you're in Chiang Mai, you're into this temple, you're into that temple, you're into the next temple. So personally. I bring flip-flops. When I'm in Thailand, like now, I basically don't wear anything but flip-flops. That being said, I'm not on tour all the time, and you're going to be walking for quite a bit. I mean, when you're in Bangkok, for example, you're going to be walking from the pier to the Grand Palace over to Wat Po. So just consider your own feet and your own well-being. If you're good for,
Mhm.
being out for several hours walking around in flip-flops, by all means do that, or tivas or open sandals because it's warm, or shoes. And as Joseph said, if they're easy to slip on and off. So give some thought to it, and bring more than one pair. Bring a couple pair. Bring some shoes, bring
Mhm.
some sandals, bring a pair of flip-flops. Keep in mind as well that if you can buy flip-flops at every market in Thailand, and Laos and Cambodia and Vietnam. I mean, flip-flops here, there's about 100 flip-flops per capita here. So don't sweat it if you don't have a piece of footwear, because you can buy everything there and you can buy it at a fraction of the price at home. So keep that in
Yeah.
mind as well. Sorry, Joseph, I didn't mean to interject, but
Oh
I
no,
just
that's quite all
wanted.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. And in respect to things like the temples and pagodas, religious sites, the cultural respect is to have your shoulders covered, knees covered, and that's both for men and women. Unfortunately, you should avoid see-through clothing. I know that might disappoint a few of you, but again, it's just the cultural respect. Some other things you really should think about bringing is like mosquito repellent, bug repellent, of course, sunscreen. Day pack is great to have for sure. A water bottle and most definitely a hat for the hot sun. We are a very casual tour company. We don't need a lot of fancy clothes, but if you want to dress up a little bit for the welcome and farewell dinner, please do. Smart casual is more than fine. The thing about this trip is you really want your luggage to be manageable. We do have a lot of flights within the tour itself. So the carry-on luggage, 7 kilograms, and pay attention to the checked-in luggage, 23 to 25 kilograms, depending on the airline. It's really important that you do, and to make your life a lot easier and better, I always try and do it all in carry-on. It's works better for me. So yeah, so that's it for packing and
Yeah, you could do
moving.
it. You could do this trip all on carry-on, considering that it is casual attire, considering that the weather is warm. I would be surprised if the temperature dropped below 18 degrees at any point on the trip.
Mhm.
It's going to be more likely to be, 10 degrees warmer than that, certainly in the day, and a little cooler at night. And there are laundry facilities in pretty much all the hotels that you're going to be staying in if you want to avail yourself of that. But it's also very common to have these little local laundromats. That's honestly what
Mhm.
I do in Thailand, for example. And again, in Laos and Cambodia, Vietnam, it's all the same. It's like $2, $3 a kilo to get your laundry done. And maybe they charge you an extra dollar to do it express same day. So, um, keep that in mind, that you can avail yourself of that, and you'll thank yourself for not having to lug around too
Mhm.
much stuff. Unless, of course, you're a shopper, in which case you'll want to take a big suitcase for all the souvenirs that you're going to bring back with you, and you're going to find tons of stuff. So, for the shoppers, yeah. However, another
You
point
can
that,
also buy a, sorry, Gordon.
yeah,
So you can
no,
also
go
buy
ahead.
a suitcase there for very cheap. But the one thing that I
Very
use a
cheap.
lot of is the compressible packing cubes. Those work
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, and they
It's
really are.
fantastic. The
And
compressor
yeah.
are fantastic, and with clothes, they don't weigh much anyway. So that way,
Mhm.
you compress everything in, and then you've got room for any little things that you might take with you. Um, the luggage weight, though, is strict in the airport. So both carry-on at 7 kilograms and the luggage allowance for the domestic flights, the checked-in luggage, they are quite strict about it. So,
Yeah.
if you are somebody that likes to take more than less stuff, don't think that you can just, pack your hand luggage full and it's too big or whatever. They are quite strict here, so keep that in mind. The only other thing I was going to say is about electrical adapters. It wasn't in the notes here, Joseph, but the electricity, the voltage in Southeast Asia is pretty much around 230 volts. I say around because it does tend to fluctuate here a little bit. And they have various plugs. So I recommend the variable adapters that have multiple plugs because that way you'll have the EU style plugs. In Thailand here we use both North American and EU plugs. In Laos and Cambodia, it's more of the EU type plugs. But if you have one that can accommodate all of them, then you're not going to have a problem. Most devices that you're going to have, like your phone charger, probably the most important device of all, or a camera charger, or that kind of thing, electronic devices, like for a tablet or whatever, they will all work on dual voltage. So you don't need anything special. But if you are going to bring something with a heating element in it. Like think about a hair dryer or a hair straightener. There are hair dryers provided, if not in the room at reception in all the hotels that you're going to be staying at. So you don't need to bring one. But if you want to bring your own, you need to make sure that it is dual voltage, so 110 to 230 volts. Or because then you would need a voltage converter, which is like a little transformer, and they're trickier to get. You'd have to order one on Amazon or something like that, or find a travel shop that sells them. So keep that in mind with the electrics. And yeah, I think we got most um, of the stuff in terms of packing. Let's talk about money. I will chime in on this one here. So you so this is one of those trips where you're just gonna have a whole handful of currencies. Now, please, I don't recommend getting any currencies in advance. I really don't. Canadian banks and foreign currencies are just not, they're not a thing. It's going to be a nightmare and you're going to pay through the nose. So don't bother with getting foreign currencies in advance. There are ATMs everywhere. Like, I mean, like, think about ATMs at home. There's twice as many in Asia. They're everywhere. And I have never not been able to use my Canadian card to get money out of a bank machine here. Never had a problem with it. Credit card, debit card, or the Wise card, which I'll talk about. Or Joseph, maybe you can talk about the Wise card in a second because I know you have had good experience with it. Um,
Hmm.
in Thailand, it's the baht. In Laos, it's the kip and the dong and the riel. So there's all these different currencies. You should get some of currencies for each place. You don't need a lot. Better restaurants, shops that you go inside of will all take credit cards. However, outdoor markets, yeah, they're cash oriented. Smaller cafes prefer cash. Those kind of places. So you're going to need some cash if you're out dining on your own for one of the meals that is not part of the program. It's better to leave a tip in cash. If you want to, tip somebody or take a taxi or something like that, it's cash again. So some cash is going to be required. How much is tricky? It's a little bit up to you. I don't think you need tons depending on the duration of stay. So, for example, you're coming into Thailand. We've got a couple days in Bangkok, a few days in Chiang Mai, and then maybe some of you are coming back for Phuket at the end. So maybe you've got a total of like 8, 9 days in Thailand. So if you get a few thousand baht, which is like $100 US worth, 150 Canadian, you're probably good to go to start because you can always top up if you need to get some more. That being said, the ATM fees are a little bit hefty in Asia. In Thailand, nowadays it's about $10 actually to make a withdrawal. So there's a little bit of forward planning required so that you're not going every single day to the ATM because otherwise the fees will add up a little bit. So it's a bit of a tough call in terms of how much, because that's always the question, how much should I get? Well, how much do you think you're going to spend? Are you a shopper? Probably get a little bit more. If you're not a shopper, you're probably going to need less because the cost of the average things going for a cup of coffee, grabbing a little snack at a thing is less expensive than in Canada. So you don't need the volume of cash. And again, you can use credit cards in more established places anyway. Um, so Wise card. Let's talk about the
Yes.
Wise card for a second.
Yeah, Wise cards I think are fantastic. They're a prepaid credit debit card. So you put your amount that you say, even if you want to budget, say $1,500 for your trip, it converts at the very best of rates. You can see your Canadian balance. And what I do, I'm in Croatia right now, so I have a Canadian balance. and I put it into euros, so it withdraws in euros. Or if you just leave it in the Canadian account, it'll withdraw the correct amount. But the transaction fees are very, very low,
Yeah,
and the currency rates are the best you can get.
the
They're
best you
the
can
current
get.
rates of the day.
Yeah.
They are the best you can get, and it's a great card. It's accepted everywhere.
It's accepted just the same. It's a Visa card, basically. So it's
Yeah.
accepted everywhere that Visa accepted. I like it as well because you can charge it up with like let's say you put $1,000 on it, which you can use for all your trips. You could leave it in, you can proactively change it to another currency, but you don't need to. You just use it, you go up to a bank machine, you take some money out, and it'll automatically convert it at the best possible rate. And with either no fee or you can't avoid the ATM fee, they're going to charge you that
Mhm.
regardless of
Yeah.
which card it is. So it's a good way to go. Robert asked the question, can we use US dollars for cash in most places? No. Vietnam, yes. So US dollars are sorry, I take that back.
Yeah.
Cambodia, yes. US dollars are uh, are equally as accepted as the Cambodian real. And some places they're actually favored. Thailand, forget it. They're not interested in US dollars. Laos, not really. Vietnam, those countries, they're not interested in your US dollars. You'll have to exchange it. So I wouldn't also bother going it used to be like a practice in the olden days, as it were, where you would go and you get a whole bunch of US dollars, to bring with you and then convert into the local currency. In this day and age, it makes no sense. You can, if you want to take cash, take Canadian dollars because every currency exchange place that I've ever seen has all the major currencies on the screen, including Canadian dollars. So you can just as easily convert from Canadian cash to whatever local currency if that is your preference. And that's absolutely a possibility. And you can get cash in, as I say, honestly, as soon as you arrive at Bangkok Airport, you'll
Mhm.
see the green Capricorn bank machines. There's about 1,000 of them in the airport terminal. Just walk up to it, grab a couple thousand baht, and you're good to go. Honestly, I don't ever pre-purchase currency. It's just in this day and age, it's honestly not worth it. Good. Let's continue on and talk about gratuities and keep the questions coming. I really appreciate it because it helps me understand where everybody's minds are at. Gratuities. So you have prepaid for gratuities for everything that we're providing on the trip. So all of your drivers, all of your guides, all of the meals where that are included in the program. Joseph will take care of the tips if we haven't already done it in advance. So you don't need to worry about tips for anything like that. Beyond that, um, if you're out on your own, when you're out on your own, having a lunch, having a dinner, yeah, tipping it's not like at home where it's like locals in this part of the world often don't tip. And there's nothing wrong with that. Um, from foreigners, yeah, they're kind of now used to getting tips. So it's appropriate to tip. You don't need to tip a lot. Maximum 10% is people are very, very happy. But it's like if you stop for a coffee somewhere and it's 45 Thai baht, you can leave 50 and they're thrilled. So it's not as rigorous a situation as we have in North America these days. So the only other place that tips are not included, it's for example, the driver that picks you up at the airport in Bangkok, because we're not there to tip them. If they are super friendly and helpful and all the rest of it, sure, give them a couple bucks or the equivalent in local currency or dollars or whatever. Again, tips are generally accepted in any currency. People are happy with them when you are dining out, particularly at a nicer restaurant, you're going to put the bill on your credit card. Keep in mind that it doesn't work like at home where they bring you the stub and then you fill in the tip and then they, add it on later. You can sometimes put the tip on the bill. They don't love it because the server might not actually get that tip. So this is where it's good to have some small change because they do prefer that you pay. They'd rather get a smaller tip in cash than putting a tip on the bill and that they might never see. So the whole tipping culture gained a little bit different than what we're used to at home. Um, Joseph, you can talk about Telegram in a second, but let me talk about mobile communication. So one of the other things that you really, really, really ought to bring is your phone, so that because let's face it, the phone it's as much a camera as it is a phone. That's probably would be taking a lot of your pictures, but communication. So Joseph's going to explain about our messaging app, which is Telegram. Um, to bring your phone, you basically have three options. You can uh, bring your phone and turn the data off and just use Wi-Fi, which is available in everywhere, like every hotel, even every little corner restaurant. It's Wi-Fi is pretty easy to find, but then you have to go and log in and all the rest of it. And of course, if you're standing in the middle of the street somewhere, not inside, you won't have it. So it is better, particularly on a trip like this, to have some kind of mobile data. So, option one, you can use your roaming plan from home, which is like roam like home. I think Rogers calls it, and they have whatever the name for it is. Um, I have heard recently from members that there are new calling plans, particularly if you're a frequent traveler, that Bell has one that covers some 60 countries and it's 60 something bucks a month. So Canadian telecom companies finally are getting with the program and realizing that they're going to lose a lot of business if they don't start making it more
Mhm.
reasonable. But the roaming plans that you get from home are about 17 bucks a day. And then you can use your phone just like you would at home. But, it adds up after a while. The other
Mhm.
alternative is to get a SIM card. So, the challenge here with a normal SIM card, which is like the one that you see here on the screen, the little plastic SIM card that fits in the side of your phone, is that there are, to my knowledge, no SIM cards, prepaid SIM cards that you can buy that will cover all four countries. That means you would need one in every single country, which is a bit of a pain in the neck. So if you have a new phone, meaning one that was made in the last 3, 4 years or 5 years, most of them have what's called eSIM capability. So it's basically a digital SIM card. Now, there are, and this is all again described in the information we sent to you. There's a million providers of eSIMs these days. We don't endorse any particular one because, quite honestly, we haven't tried them all. A lot of our members use one called Airolo, Airolo. I use one
Mhm.
called Saily, Saily, and there's Holafly, and there's a list of 100 of them. You can simply Google eSIM card Southeast Asia and then look at the list of countries. Because the benefit of an eSIM card is you can get a regional one that will cover all the countries, which means you
Mhm.
activate it when you arrive, and it's good the whole time that you're traveling. Um, so that's what to do there. But the physical SIM is an option, although my personal advice in terms of cost effectiveness and reliability would be to get an eSIM card that covers you for all the countries. That's that. So the other reason to have your mobile phone, if you have, you can use Google Maps and you can use Telegram, which is our messaging app. And Joseph, will you explain about how important it is to use Telegram?
Absolutely. Telegram is our communication app, and it's necessary for me to communicate with you, not only just to give you information and updates about changes or anything. I actually give you the full day schedule the night before, so you're aware of what's going on in the timings, and again to keep you updated on any changes. If you're out wandering alone and you have a question or you're concerned about where you're at, like literally anything at all, it's just, yeah, it's a direct line for me to communicate with you. I know
Yeah.
some people ask about why not use WhatsApp or why not use this or that. Ours is Telegram. There's a few reasons why that that we use it, but really, if you want to stay in full communication with me, it's absolutely critical, and you'll be thankful that you did.
Yeah. And I see the question here from about why
Mhm.
not WhatsApp versus Telegram. We looked into this a couple of years ago. I mean, WhatsApp is definitely more prolific. The problem is that Telegram has functionality that WhatsApp simply doesn't have.
Mhm.
Number one, and number two, with Telegram, a lot of people don't use it, and for most of our members, it's new. You can set it up with your phone number, but you don't have to share your phone number, so you can use it completely privately. and just for the trip. And then when all is said and done, you can delete it and you'll never have to hear from anybody again. Yeah, most people actually continue chatting after the group.
A lot.
And so we use Telegram because it's kind of like, even though it's not ours, there's millions of people that use it worldwide, but it is our dedicated one.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it takes a couple of steps to set it up. But honestly, once you have it, and if you travel with us again, it's super handy. And a lot of our members from trips 2 years ago are still chit chatting in the Telegram groups. So that's the reason why we use it. Okay, let's
Yeah.
carry on. And I'm going to say a few things about health and safety. And if you've heard my spiel before, there's a couple other things I want to mention. So bear with me. Uh, a couple of quick things. If you feel unwell during the trip, if you develop symptoms, coughing, sneezing, or otherwise, please wear a mask. This is common practice in Southeast Asia. When somebody is ill, they automatically don a mask so they don't infect everybody else. That's what they do in Asia. They've done it long before COVID. And so we do that as well just to protect our other members. Um, if you have an injury, even if it's a minor one, if you have a little sprain or a little cut or this or that or the other thing, please let Joseph know. And we tend to err on the side of caution in terms of referring you to a clinic or whatever. Even minor cuts in this environment can get easily infected. We would rather have you have it looked at and not have any problems and send you back home just in the same condition as when you arrived in. So that's just something we really ask that you be mindful of. No smoking during any wheel and anchor activities. So when you're together with a group, please don't smoke. I will say about smoking though, in some parts of Southeast Asia, particularly Vietnam, Cambodia, you'll be shocked to see how profusely some people still smoke. So have room for that. Just pretend you're in 1970s Canada and everybody's smoking everywhere. That it's just how it is. It's just part of the culture. Couple other things that are unique to this trip in terms of health and safety. Please stay hydrated. If you have a water bottle, bring it. Unfortunately, we could not facilitate getting wheel and anchor water bottles for you on this trip just because I ran out of the inventory here and we couldn't get any replenished in time. But you can get them anywhere for cheap and you can get them at any market. But staying hydrated in this environment, and you're going to be out at Angkor Wat in Cambodia, for example, and you'll be out for a few hours early in the morning, and there's in the temple itself, there's no shops, there's no place to get water. It's really important to stay hydrated because it's easy to become dehydrated if you're not. This is sort of a health thing, but just more of a heads up. Toilets in Asia use what we affectionately call bum guns. So the toilets here, the whole septic systems. This does not apply. Well, although it exists in all the hotels, but a lot of places you go, restaurants and places outside of the major hotels, their sanitary systems don't accommodate toilet paper. And I know that may sound odd, but that is just how it is. And you'll see little signs everywhere. No, don't put any toilet paper in the toilet because it clogs things up. So they use bum gums. It's a little nozzle that shoots water, and I'll let you figure out the rest from there. So uh, quite honestly, once you get used to them, I think I wish we'd have had them in Canada. I mean, I go back home and I'm like, this toilet paper thing is ridiculous. It's actually much more sanitary.
Mhm.
But just be prepared for that because I know I have people coming out of the washroom for the first time shocked because in some cases there isn't even toilet paper. That's usually not the case in the places that we're going. But if you're in a little market somewhere and they refer to the toilet, there's going to be a bum gun. So be ready for it.
And it's a good
Have
idea to
fun.
carry around. Good idea to carry around some Kleenex or a little
Yeah,
bit of toilet paper with you. It's not a bad idea. I always have
and
some.
e- exactly, and some of those moist towelettes and some hand
Mhm.
sanitizer. It goes a long way in Asia, believe me, particularly. Good. All right. So let's get into some of the trip details, arrival. You are going to be obviously all arriving into Bangkok Suvarnabhumi International Airport. It is a giant airport. If you're lucky like me, you'll be at the furthest gate, which is 900 meters from the immigration control. It's a big airport. It is really the hub of Southeast Asia. But that being said, it's pretty straightforward and well signed, and it's actually pretty well organized. When you arrive out of luggage claim, though, it is this organized chaos will become immediately apparent because there's a million people, drivers waiting with signs. So you need to take your first deep breath of, albeit air conditioned, but tropical air, and to look for your driver and have patience with it. They will be there, but sometimes there you can't find them at first glance because there may be so many people there. So look around, have patience. If after 15 minutes or so, if for some reason you really still can't find them, then if you haven't already gotten onto the internet, then you can log on to the Wi-Fi in the airport and send Joseph a message so that he can come and lend you some some assistance and get in touch with the transfer company and the dispatcher and hook you all up. We haven't lost anybody before, but we have had circumstances where driver and passenger couldn't find anybody. Um, just taking one quick step back though, if before you fly over, obviously, as you well know, it's a bit of a long trip to get here, depending on how you're flying. Maybe some of you are flying Vancouver, Bangkok on the Air Canada flight, which is 14 hours. It's a bit of a long one. Um, uh, First of all, check your emails and stuff for potential flight delays or cancellations, because the airlines are very good. More often than not, they already know before you even arrive at the airport if there's going to be a more substantial delay. And if you're flying via connecting airport, if you're on EVA Air through Taipei, or you're on, a Korean Air via Seoul, or whatever, however you're getting in, if you end up being in a situation where you miss your connecting flight, and sometimes again you'll know that in advance, as soon as possible, please let Joseph know uh, that you're going to be delayed,
Mhm.
because or sorry, that you're not going to be on the flight that you're on, because we if your flight's late but you're on it, that's no problem because we know that the flight's late and the driver will know and they'll still be there. But if you are not on the flight, then it's a problem, only because we have no way of knowing that you didn't get on the flight. So that's, either at the first opportunity, send Joseph a telegram message from the airport that you're at to say, hey, I missed the flight, they're rebooking me on such and such a flight. That way we can re-coordinate for your pickup to happen. I do suggest for traveling to Asia, considering using a jet lag app. The one that we recommend is called timeshifter.com. It's again written up in the documentation. This is a way of adjusting your body clock for a couple of days before you leave and when you arrive, so that you will more quickly adapt to the new time zone, because the time difference, depending on where you're coming from, is between 12 and 15, between 11 and 15 hours, depending on which time zone in Canada you're coming from. So you're going to be a little bit out of sorts for a couple of days. So think about that and avail yourself of it if you so choose. Um, Joseph will be meeting you at the hotel when you arrive into Bangkok. And then, he'll already have messages for you about what's happening. But mostly on that very first day, you're going to want to sort of take it easy and relax into things. Um, I'll just address a couple more questions while we're going, Robert. Why don't we have a driver pick? Yeah, we can't offer transfers prior to day one of the trip, because we don't have anybody in sight to manage it. And we've had this before, and because we don't have a host there until the first day. So it's caused a huge amount of problems when there's a flight delay and then the person arrives and we don't have anybody that can help sort out the problem, which makes an even bigger problem. So that's why we unfortunately can't transfer folks before day one of the program. It yeah, we've tried it. It just doesn't work. Telegram details, again, are in the information that was already sent. It was sent together with your trip specific reference guide in the daily. So if you look through it, you'll see the documents, including a page dedicated to the setup of Telegram. Quick map overview of where you're going in case you don't even already remember. Again, arriving into Bangkok, capital of Thailand, spending the first few days there, flying then up to Chiang Mai, and visiting the cultural capital, if you will, of Thailand up in the north part of the country. Flying then over to Luang Prabang, which is the whole town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Laos. It's a beautiful spot on the Mekong River. From there, then over to Hanoi, obviously capital of Vietnam in the north. A highlight being your visit over to Ha Long Bay, where you're going to be spending a night on the ship. You're then flying down to the south of Vietnam to Ho Chi Minh City, and taking in some amazing things there, like the Cu Chi tunnels, which were used by the Viet Cong to evade the American forces. And then last leg up to Siem Reap, which is the gateway to Angkor Wat and all the other. There are hundreds of temples around Angkor Wat. You could spend months there, but Angkor Wat is obviously the most famous of them. Okay. And then the final, for those who are continuing on the extension program, you're going to fly actually not from Siem Reap direct to Phuket. Unfortunately, they don't have any flights that way. You're flying via Bangkok and then down to Phuket. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a moment. So, again, I'm not going to go through this in too much detail. In Bangkok, this is the beautiful Golden Palace, official residence of the king. But he doesn't actually live there. He lives in Germany. That's a whole other story that they'll tell you locally. Yeah, I have to be careful what I say because you're not allowed to say anything about the king. But there's lots of interesting stories to learn about Bangkok. It's a frenetic, bustling city with some incredible spectacles like the temple, like the flower market and the Jim Thompson Silk Museum that you're going to be visiting. Don't shop too much on the first day of the trip, considering there's 22 more to follow after that. But there's some beautiful stuff that you can get in Thailand. You'll be then off to Chiang Mai. This is Doi Sutep Temple, which overlooks the whole city, and is going to be one of your stops in this cultural pearl. In Chiang Mai, you're going to have on the 5th and 6th of November the Loy Krathong festivities, which is the Lantern Festival. And this is where they traditionally, you'll find the streets are lined with markets selling little, um, uh, they're like little boats made out of fruit and vegetables and candles. And, they take these and they make a wish and they place them in the river. And it's quite a celebration. So you get a chance to witness that while you're there. It'll be busy as a result of that. And Loy Krathong is celebrated all everywhere in Thailand, and in fact, I think it's celebrated in Laos as well, although not on exactly the same dates necessarily. So that'll be a bit of a highlight there. Luang Prabang, again, lovely town in the hills of Laos, beautiful countryside. You're on the Mekong River. And the one thing in Laos, in Luang Prabang, that I highly recommend, it's in the program, is doing the alms to the monks. It means getting up at a godforsaken hour of 5:30 in the morning, because this all happens at sunrise. But the monks come out, and if you watched the pre-trip, if you watched the original webinar, you will have seen the last time I was in there some years ago. This is a solemn ceremony. This isn't just a tourist spectacle. This is something that locals participate in. So be mindful of that. That it is a form of worship. It is a ritual. So it's how shall I say, not to be taken casually. Like, participate in it and give yourself to it. It's quite an experience, and really a highlight of the time in Laos. Over to Hanoi, which is again quite an interesting city. Vietnam, obviously, still a communist country, as you probably are aware, and you'll learn lots more about that. But for me, the highlight of northern Vietnam is Ha Long Bay. This is absolutely wondrous. Still remains to me one of the most amazing places I've ever visited. You're going to be on this beautiful ship for an overnight cruise. You're going to have the opportunity to either go swimming or for a kayak ride. Scenery wise, this is hard to beat. It's pretty amazing. From there, you're going to fly down to Ho Chi Minh, which is the commercial hub of Vietnam, a wonderful city. that is again bustling and has its own charm. Vietnam, as you know, probably know was a French colony for a long time. There's a lot of French influences there. The food is exquisite, and I'm talking about not just in all the fancy places, but the street food and all the rest of it. Can I say a word about that from a health and safety standpoint? Thailand, Vietnam, very much street food cultures. I do recommend trying the street food, but know your own sort of limitations or your own comfort zone. I generally recommend sticking to food that is cooked. And I don't just mean it was cooked an hour ago and it's been sitting there, but where you actually see it being cooked in front of you. If you stick to that rule, it's, I would say, safe. I mean, I can't give you any guarantees on that, but I eat street food all the time here, and it's amazing and it's tasty and it's part of the experience. But stick to the cooked stuff because you'll also see whole counters of sushi that are sitting out there. I would not go for that. Um, then up to Sim Reap, which is again Angkor Wat, of course, magnificent, inspiring, moving. You'll go in to see it at sunrise. You'll enter from the gate that the main tourists don't get into, or don't come in from. You won't be the only one. There will be others that know the secret as well. But Sim Reap is just truly inspiring, or Angkor Wat. But the town is interesting as well. So, and there's great markets there. So feel free to leave some of that shopping and bringing back souvenirs for friends and grandkids and all the rest of it. You could feel free to leave it at the end because there is lots of opportunity in Sim Reap. And then finally, Phuket. I used to live there some years back. And this is beautiful sandy beaches. You're staying in the north part of the island, not far from the airport, at the Pullman Arcadia. I used to have lunch there all the time. It's a great spot, with lovely views, fantastic sunsets over the Andaman Sea. And yeah, it's just a lovely overall spot to spend a few extra days, to sort of relax and enjoy. Quite honestly, the reason that I live in Thailand is the beautiful beaches and the wonderful weather. Um, Good. Q&A. So, if you have any other questions, please, this is a good time to ask them. If you think of something a few minutes after the webinar, then you can absolutely email our office. The main person who answers all of the sort of miscellaneous questions that come up is Melody, and her information is here. So if there's something that you need to know or wondering about, or if you're having a problem with a visa, message Melody. She will lend you a hand. That's what she's there for, and she loves to do it. If you're having trouble with Robert, he with an issue with the link to the Telegram instructions and Melody's emails goes to your website. Okay, so if you're having trouble with Telegram, I'll make a note of this, Robert, and have Melody send you the Telegram instructions once again, and we'll just double check that it's all correct. And otherwise, yeah, you can yeah, you can consult with her and she'll give you a hand to set that up. And in the worst case for Telegram, it is our preference, as Joseph said, that you set up Telegram before the trip. That way, if there's a problem in getting there with the flights or whatever, you've got a direct line to Joseph. And Joseph will be looking for all of your messages so that he knows that everybody's already signed up, and will say hello, and then you're covered. So Robert, we will follow up on that to make sure that you get your Telegram set up. Any other questions? That's it. Oh my gosh, Joseph, we've done too good of a job here. I think there's
Yeah,
no
there you
there's
go.
no more
Excellent.
there's no more questions. Um, and yeah, another question, actually, another good question from Robert about medical prescriptions. Yes, do bring copies. I mean, if you obviously bring an adequate supply, you can get prescriptions for pretty much everything. And you get in any of the countries. It's tougher in the smaller places in Luang Prabang and Laos. So make sure you bring enough, but it's a good idea to bring copies of prescriptions with you, so that if push comes to shove, if you need to get it filled, you can. So any other document. Here's another tip. of what I recommend that you bring: passwords for your phone, passwords for your apps or your email account. We've had it happen so often that, members arrive for some reason, they get logged out of their Gmail and they're like, "Oh, I don't know my password." Okay, well, that's a problem because we can't solve that one for you. So think about passwords. Any other information, uh, keep it on your phone or keep it printed out. Phone numbers of friends and loved ones back home, just in case somebody needs to get a hold of anybody. We have your emergency contact, obviously, and that's all I want to say. In terms of, another question here about if you can finding out if anyone else is coming in early. If you join the Telegram,
Mhm.
then Joseph, you're going to add them to the group.
Yes.
And then once you're in the group chat, you can say, "Hey, everybody, I'm Gordon, and I'm going to be arriving on whatever date, the 29th of October. Is there anybody else going to be there?" And then the other people that are there can go, "Yeah, I'll be there, and let's, go out for lunch." So that's the way to find out if you are arriving into Bangkok a little bit early. That's the way to go. Good.
Great.
All right, we've wrapped it up. 56 minutes. My goodness. Okay, well, there's a lot to cover. It's a long trip. Um, just whatever final closing notes. There are 17 people in your group, so it's a perfect number to travel with.
Mhm.
So it's really, you've got the great group size, you've got a great host, you've got everything you need to know. And yeah, you know, dress code, laundry, use weather, money, cruise. Yeah, that's it. We've covered everything. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing time. I look forward to hearing your feedback. I'm in always contact with Joseph, as with all of our hosts, in case anything goes awry, but nothing's going to go awry. Everything's going to be great. You're going to have a marvelous time.
Absolutely.
All right.
You're in good
Good
hands.
night. Good night from Thailand. And again, have an amazing trip.
Thanks,
Bye
Gordon. Talk
bye.
to you soon.
All right.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.